the return of Fair Catch Kick, the 15-minute-ish fantasy football podcast. I'm Paul Stoltz, former professional kicker who spent way too much time in the offensive film room.
And I'm Anthony LaFury, an award-winning sports reporter who was able to open a stock portfolio thanks to Paulie ATM's tips last season.
Let's be very clear. I am not a financial advisor.
You may not be a financial advisor, but you're a DFS mastermind, my friend. Thanks for the starting capital.
Hey, golf treated me pretty good this year as well in DFS. Thank you all so much for tuning back in with us in the 2021 season. We really appreciated all of the positive feedback that we received in 2020 from friends, family, listeners from across the country. As you guys saw, we have a very unique style. I really do watch a lot of film and know how to watch it and can give you insights that maybe others couldn't while just looking at the statistics. And Anthony provides his bravado, his years of football experience, years of fantasy football experience to give you some really unique strategy insights. So today's episode is going to be the top 25 rankings for the 2021 season. And before we get into it, first, at FCK Podcast on Twitter, on Instagram, and subscribe to us on YouTube, please. So without further ado, here goes our top 25 rankings for the 2021 season.
And don't forget to check us out on Apple Podcasts as well.
All right, Ant, I'm going to have you kick it off. I am fascinated to hear who are your top 5 fantasy football players going into the 2021 season.
All right, Paul. Nothing too crazy here. I got Christian McCaffrey number 1, Dalvin Cook number 2, Alvin Kamara number 3, Zeke Elliott number 4, and Derrick Henry number 5.
All right, yeah, I mean, that seems to be pretty standard for a lot of people, except Zeke coming in at number 4. I'm not surprised because it's you. He's been going really high in auction drafts within the top 5. I don't see it.
This is a new year, and I'm going to let you in on a little secret. Zeke got in the best shape of his career this past offseason. He is lighter than he's been. I think he may even be lighter than he was when he was a rookie. They're saying he's moving like a scat back in camp. I've seen footage of him working out. I've seen footage of him in camp. He has regained his elusiveness. This is a secret that only like Cowboy fans in the know realize. And on top of that, his stud offensive line is back. And I think him actually having COVID last season had a lot to do with him begging out of drives. I think he just couldn't get his stamina back up after having COVID. Now he's a year away from that. He's in awesome shape. He's ready to rock and roll. I think he's in for a monster year.
Sure. The other thing, look, it's what I've heard from Cowboys fans, and maybe, right? But the other thing is that offensive line is not what it has been in the past. And I just don't see a way that Zeke has a top 10 season fantasy-wise.
Well, they may not be the best line anymore, but I'll take top 5. Fine by me.
We'll see, man. We'll see at the end of the year. My top 5, not too dissimilar. I don't have Zeke in the top 5. I went Cook, Christian McCaffrey, Kamara. I think those 3 are generally interchangeable. I could hear an argument for any of them. Mm-hmm. I went Derrick Henry number 4. And I went Nick Chubb number 5. I mean, I heard the hemming and hawing about, Kareem Hunt is going to be a thorn in our side. And Nick Chubb is the best runner in the NFL. If I could pick one person to get the ball and get me yardage based on what I saw film-wise last season, it's Nick Chubb. I have no issue with anybody ranking Nick Chubb higher.
I don't really hate your top 5. You going Cook number 1. I applaud your I don't want to say bravery, but the fact that you went there, because not a lot of people are doing that. People are still hitching their wagon to McCaffrey. I came very close to doing it, but I didn't have the guts you did. Job well done there. Also, I like the fact that you have Chubb You have him higher than I do, but I see your point. I have him. You'll see in my top 10. I have him, but I just don't have him in my top 5.
Well, let's go for it. Let's see your 6 through 10.
Okay, Paul. So my 6 through 10 at number 6, I have Davante Adams because he's the best player on the Packers. I have Tyreek Hill, number 7. Jonathan Taylor, I want to call him Thomas, number 8. Nick Chubb, number 9. And Stephon Diggs, who I want to say his last name is Urkel, number 10.
Yeah, I'm good with Davante. I'm good with Tyreek Hill. Jonathan Taylor, you'll see him on my top, round out my top 10. There are other players that I actually wanted to put above Taylor. I think he's good. He's deserving of being right around that position. Who is your 10 again?
Stephon Diggs.
Right. So I just think you have Diggs a little high. I mean, Diggs was my number 1 call last year in terms of here's a player that's going 2 or 3 rounds too late and should be going ahead. I'm a huge Stephon Diggs fan. Josh Allen showed the largest improvement year to year of just about any quarterback that I've almost ever seen. So I'm all good with Stephon Diggs. Tons of volume coming in there as well. Little high for me.
Well, I'm glad you, for the most part, agree with me, and I'm really glad that you agree that Davante Adams is the best Packer. Who do you have 6 through 10?
So look, Saquon is my number 6. I told you that in my last segment that Nick Chubb is my favorite runner if I need yardage. The only reason it's not Saquon to me, who I still think is the best overall running back in the NFL, is we just haven't really seen him play football, and I'm still kind of going off of year 1 and year 2 film. So he gets to my number 6 spot. My number 7 is Davante Adams. My number 8 is Travis Kelce. You and I don't typically put tight ends this high, but I think Kelce is just literally, his target share was massive last year. He's so central to that offense. I'm okay with a first-round pick on him. And he's also going to score so many more points than the number 5 or 6 tight end. So you get a big advantage from a point differential standpoint. My number 9 is Tyreek Hill. And I rounded out my top 10 with Jonathan Taylor, as I said. There's another second-year running back that I actually like more than him. I wasn't ready to put him over the top yet.
Well, I disagree with you on a couple of factors. Kelce, and I guess I somewhat disagree with you on Saquon, but let's put a pin in that, and we will get to that as we head further down the line.
All right. Fair enough. All right, Ant, 11 through 15, who you got?
Okay, so number 11, I have Saquon Barkley. I'd have him higher. I'm just a little worried about that knee. 12.
That's fair. That's the reason to rank him lower.
Yeah. 12, I have DeAndre Hopkins. 13, I have your boy Austin Eckler. I'd be shocked if you don't have him at that level or higher. 14, DK Metcalf. And number 15, Aaron Jones, because he's the second best player on the Packers.
Yeah, you and I are not going to disagree too much, except there's one player that I have here who I just think the world is under ranking. And I'll get to him in just a second. My first guy is Austin Eckler at 11. As you said, he's been a favorite of mine for the last couple years. And I always say Josh Kelly and Justin Jackson don't really bring any threats to the table. My number 12 is J.K. Dobbins. Dude,
yeah.
I was all over him in the second half of last season. Go get him at all costs. Those who did benefited greatly. He went 6 yards per carry once Ingram was out of the equation. Yes, I get it. Gus Edwards is going to be annoying all year. He's going to bumble and stumble, and he's going to average 4 yards a carry because that offensive line is pretty good. But Dobbins on 18 touches is going to look like Nick Chubb did last year. Very similar runners. J.K. Dobbins' film is probably among the 3 or 4 best for running backs that I saw last year. And I think he's going to catch like 40 balls.
Yeah, I got to be honest. I feel dumb because I don't have him in my top 25. He's just a guy that just completely went over my head. I loved him last year. If we were to do a 2.0 list, he would absolutely make the list. So,
look, he's not on most people's top 25. He's 12 on mine.
Yeah.
I think I'm not telling you to draft him at 12th overall. I'm telling you late second round, early third. That's when he's kind of going mid third.
Yes. That's how you win your league. That's how you win your league.
A little earlier than you think you should.
Yep. Yeah. 100%.
My 13 is Aaron Jones. Most people have him in the top 10, maybe 9 or 10. I sort of reluctantly put him here. Dylan is going to get a lot of touches. Aaron Jones is so good that he'll still be a top 12 backer. So I just don't expect sort of that 18 touchdown season 2 years ago or the semi-monster year he had last year. He was top 5 or 6. Rounded out with DeAndre Hopkins. And I think Clyde Edwards-Helaire deserves a spot up there as well at 15.
Attaboy, Paul. And I'm glad that you also agree with me that Aaron Jones is the second best player on the Packers. Well done.
We are now at 16 through 20. Not too much difference between us so far besides a couple players like J.K. Dobbins, Saquon, and Zeke. Who you got here at 16?
Okay, so number 16, I've got Calvin Ridley because Julio Jones is no longer a factor. 17, I have Antonio Gibson. 18, I have Clyde Edwards-Helaire Stoltz. 19, I have the baby goat, Patrick Mahomes. And number 20, I got your boy, Joe Mixon.
Yeah, I appreciate the love for Joe Mixon. I've been trying to support him for years. If that offensive line was worth anything, Joe Mixon would be a top 7 back every year. He's super talented, as I've said. The one I'm going to pick on here is Antonio Gibson. He just sort of catapulted himself in the fans' eyes late last year. He is still raw talented, but there's two things here. And he did not make my top 25. I know most people have him as a second-round pick. Number one is he's just still raw. He sort of makes these big plays, but then misses holes. I mean, I'll send you some film, Ant, because I know you like to sort of watch what I watch, but he sometimes makes the wrong cuts, and I'm not ready, even though that Washington offensive line is pretty good, I'm not ready to put him into that sort of like second tier of running backs. Buyer beware there. Also, McKissick is going to be there for third downs and late in games. Yes, I know everybody says Gibson can catch the ball. He can, but McKissick is probably the best pass-catching running back in the NFL right now.
Fair enough. Who do you have 16 through 20?
Yeah, so my 16 is Stephon Diggs. I think he's clearly in that last guy in the first tier of wide receivers. I believe he's better than DK Metcalf. Metcalf was all last year a little too boomer bust for me, same as A.J. Brown. Metcalf did make my top 25, though. Number 17 is Najee Harris. Look, he's a great running back, and we know that Mike Tomlin is just going to give the ball to a workhorse back. So he's going to get volume. He's a do-it-all guy, but that offensive line is not good, man. So some people have him as a borderline first-round pick. I still like him late second round, early third, but you know he's got a shot to be really good. 18 is my boy from last year, DeAndre Swift. Look, I get it, guys. No one thinks the Lions are going to be good, right? Their offensive line is very underrated. When an offensive line is underrated and they end up being good, everything is better than we think it's going to be, right? Think of the Cleveland Browns last year. Everybody was thinking, oh, they're going to be a bust. They're going to be a bust. They're still the Browns, even though they've got this talent. Well, they went out and they got an offensive line, and they were good with a mediocre quarterback, and their running backs ran really well. I think DeAndre Swift is going to be able to run on behind this line, and Penei Sewell is going to be the anchor for him. Rounding it out, though, Joe Mixon and Josh Jacobs, who, again, Josh Jacobs, I think has one of the best tapes over the last couple of years of anybody else. But he's just had bad opportunities, and Gruden doesn't really know what he's doing offensively sometimes.
And speaking with your thing, is Adrian Peterson still in Detroit?
No, he's not in Detroit. Jamal Williams is there. I'm okay with that. He's going to spell him just like Jamal Williams spelled Aaron Jones last year. not a threat to take over.
Yeah, then we're going to be okay. I don't see anyone stealing his carries now.
All right, man, we're pushing a decent pace. Let's round it out. 21 through 25, who you got?
Okay, so you got me to amend on the fly here. I'm going to put J.K. Dobbins at 21. Najee Harris, I'm with you. I got him 22. I got to see him a little bit in preseason. I like the way he runs. I just hope he can do that against first-team defenses. 23, I've got Josh Jacobs. 24, I've let Kelsey fall far enough. I got to get Kelsey in there, I guess. Dude, I just can't draft a tight end in the first round. And on top of that, he's 31 years old now, so he's getting up there in age. So if this were 2 years ago, I'd be with you having him where you have him, but he's going to start to slow down, lose a little bit of speed. Don't like it.
Yeah, let me just make my counterpoint here, because this is one you and I have a tremendous disparity on.
Yeah.
I just think strategically we're at a point now where Kelsey, barring injury, scores so many more points than even the number 4 or 5 tight end. It's such a massive statistical advantage. That's what people say in most years, but I just think it's so true this year, and that's why I'm taking advantage of it with Kelsey at 8. Again, 44 more receiving yards per game than the number 4 guy. That's 4 points, right? The number 4 ranked guy, that's 4 points right there. He had double the amount of receptions as the, again, number 4 ranked tight end last year. And he had 300 receiving yards more than even Darren Waller did last year, who had the same number of receptions. It's such an easy way to score extra points on your opponent.
Again, it's his age, and his ADP right now is, what is his ADP? It's 6.8 right now, Paul. And again, he's 31 years old. The decline is going to start soon, and I'm not going to take the chance and draft a possible declining tight end at 6.8. And
fair enough.
And then to finish out my top 25, CeeDee Lamb was putting up awesome numbers before Dak got hurt. He's having a tremendous training camp. He's going to be the number 1 receiver in Dallas by the end of the season, Paul.
Someone's buying into their own hype. Well, if you noticed, I haven't even bought into the Zeke hype. And I made my points earlier in the episode, so I won't need to. Look, I think CeeDee Lamb is very, very talented. And so there's sort of this notion around the Cowboys right now that, like, that offense is going to be all world, and it could be very good. They're very talented. I'm not going to lie, but I'm not good for you for being early to the table to put him in your top 25. I'm not ready to do that with CeeDee Lamb. I still like Amari Cooper ahead of him.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Cooper is a pro's pro. But CeeDee Lamb, I watched footage of practice almost every day, and every day in camp, he's just made a play that makes me go, oh my God, he's unbelievable. So
no, he's a talented guy. I'm just not ready to put him in my top 25 yet.
Fair enough. Well, why don't you finish off your top 25?
21, I got Keeton Allen. Man, I don't understand how he is ranked so low amongst wide receivers. I have him as my number 5 overall receiver. His last 4 years, dude, he basically 100 receptions a year, right? His target share is like everything. He's got at least 136 targets. And last year, he had 147 targets, 100 receptions. He only played 14 games. I know he has silly hamstrings of sadness, right? But what, is Herbert going to get worse? I don't understand that one.
Yeah, you know what, Paul? I had him at 26, so we're not that far off. I actually just looked up his age. Dude, for some strange reason, I thought he was 31 or 32. He's only 29, so he's fine.
Yeah, no, he'll be great this year. People have him ranked in the 30s. He should be a 3rd round pick at worst, in my opinion. Number 22, I have George Kittle. Number 23, I have Darren Waller. Again, an opportunity to score more points against the field because after Mark Andrews at 4, it's a lot of question marks after that. And those two guys, in addition to Kelsey, score so much more than the field does at tight end. My number 24 is DK Metcalf. Again, a little too boomer bust for my taste last year, but he's a really good player, and he's going to score a couple 50-yard bomb touchdowns from Russell Wilson. My number 25, dude, is my big money wide receiver pick. Last year's was, of course, Stephon Diggs, right? And I thought he was going like 3 rounds too low. This year is Deontay Johnson. Look, I get it. Everybody says that Ben Roethlisberger is old and washed up. I think you may share that opinion as well. I don't think it matters. Here's why. He's very good at running short mesh routes, getting the ball, and turning upfield, right? Remember what DeAndre Hopkins did when he was with the Texans and Brian freaking Hoyer was his quarterback? Runs across the formation, and it's just a matter of finding the seam, right? Roethlisberger can still do that, and Deontay Johnson is going to rake. Not just that, but Deontay had 11 games out of his 16 where he had 10 or more targets, okay? The other 5 games, 3 he was hurt most of the game. 1 was the game against Buffalo where he got pulled for, yes, he does have a case of the dropsies, right? So he only played 1 half. And the last game was against Cleveland, last game of the season where the Steelers weren't really playing anybody. His target share is going to be massive this year.
I am just not the whole Roethlisberger. He's done. He's going to be probably out of the lineup by midseason, and Haskins is going to be throwing those routes. Are you okay with Haskins throwing him those balls?
In the LaFrary land scenario where you were right about Drew Brees last year. I'll give you that. I don't think you're going to be right about Roethlisberger this year. If Haskins is throwing it to him, not happy about it. But again, a receiver that runs short routes, Haskins can get him the ball. He got McLaurin the ball, to his credit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really what it comes down to. If you're into Deontay, is can you live with Haskins likely being the guy getting him the ball? I love Big Ben, loved him his whole career, but his body the last few years is really failing him. And as you mentioned before with Najee Harris, the line is just nothing special anymore. So how are you going to keep Big Ben upright?
6-yard passes to Deontay Johnson. Put it in the books. Top 8 wide receiver in 2021.
Okay. Let's wrap this thing up, Paul.
So I did say 15-minute-ish at the beginning of the episode. This was certainly a double episode for us. We wanted to kick it off. We were going through our top 25 rankings, but I haven't heard you comment on one player that I thought was pretty obvious that I left off of the entire list. Did you figure out who it was?
Yeah, you left Zeke out.
I left Zeke out. I think Pollard's going to be worked in more than we're comfortable with. You know, Zeke is now the age after an injury-riddled season that Le'Veon Bell was at when he sort of went down the wrong path.
Well, Le'Veon went heavy on when that happened, and Zeke is now, they call him Sleek Zeke. He's so skinny. So, listen, I don't have to worry about you drafting him, so I'm happy.
Thanks so much for tuning in, everyone. At FCK Podcast on Twitter, on Instagram. Please go ahead and subscribe to us on YouTube and listen to us on Apple Podcasts.